What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz here for Cinephellas.com. Tonight I'm going to be talking about a brand new show that was just released on Netflix, Locke Key. If you guys have been watching our videos, you guys know how much I love Locke Key. I did a trailer reaction of the first trailer they released a while back. I've read the entire series and also listened to the audiobook on Audible. The series is written by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. We love that guy here, and illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. I love the artwork, the atmosphere they built of the Key House, being in Massachusetts, Lovecraft, Massachusetts. It just really had a dark, eerie atmosphere about it, and I just love the storytelling in that. So the setup of the show, we have a really tragic event that takes place with Rendell Locke, the father of the Locke family. So the family packs up from Seattle, Washington, and moves back to the ancestral home in Lovecraft, Massachusetts, being the Key House. It's a huge Victorian, really creepy but beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts. Looks much like The Haunting of Hill House and other horror movies like Addams Family and things like that. So it really sets up a creepy atmosphere from the start of the show. We are introduced to the Lark family. We have Nina, the mom. We have Tyler, Kinsey, and young Bode, my favorite character in the comic and in the TV show. Young Bode is played by Jackson Robert Scott. He played Georgie in the new It films by Andy Muschietti. He's a really great young actor, child actor, and he was the best part of the show, in my opinion. The family's dealing with a lot of grief. The murder of their father. He was a teacher, a guidance counselor, and he's basically gets murdered by a disgruntled student, and we find out the whole story as to what happened and why the student kind of snapped out and killed Rendell Locke. So the Locke family's really dealing with a lot of grief, a lot of pain, trying to move on and try to be happy and you know, not think about their dead father, but really this house has to do with Rendell Locke. It's his family, the Locke family. It's been in the family for many years. Really, the set design and showing this house and the inside, how meticulous everything is and how full of mystery it is. It's really great setup, and it's really fantastic how they kind of set up the keys. Basically, there's a bunch of different keys that they find. They all have different powers. So you open up doors, it does different things. With that being said, with the keys, there's this character they introduce, Bodhi finds, called Echo or Dodge. We find out later in the show. It's a lady that was in the bottom of the well, and she's really trying to manipulate and terrorize this family to get all the keys because they're super powerful. And Dodge is basically terrorizing the family, tormenting them. More importantly, young Bodhi just terrorizing him, saying, hey, if you don't give me the keys, I'm going to kill your family. It's not going to end well. So Bodhi is really going through a lot as a young kid, losing his father, trying to get through life, and then also meeting this Dodge character and trying to gather all these keys. And you know, to him trying to tell that to his older siblings, Tyler and Kinsey, they're not really believing him. Like, don't worry about it, it's fine. He's really going through a lot in the show, and he goes through a lot throughout the entire series in 10 episodes, but definitely the best performance and best arc, I would say, of the first season of Locke Key. The other two characters in the Locke family, Tyler and Kinsey, I'm not too familiar with this actress, but I didn't really care for them the first 4 or 5 episodes. It took me a while to really get into their characters. I don't know, just something, the way they were written in the first half of the season was not good, and just, you didn't care for them. But I think in the second half, they really got a lot better, and they felt like they got more into the roles and more of how I envisioned them from the books. And Nina Locke, the mother, I didn't really care for her in the first half of the season either, honestly. I always thought Nina would look different, the actress that plays the character in the show. It took a while for her to grow on me, but I liked her towards the second half, because you see more of what she's going through, and even with alcoholism and losing her husband and finding out the true past of the Locke family and the Locke and the Key House. Her investigating and finding out all this information in regards to her husband and what happened to her husband when he was a young teenager and his group of friends, and having to do with the Key House and all these different keys. It's a lot to take in when you're trying to grieve over, you know, a loss of a loved one, especially her husband. So she's going through a lot. And the second half, she gets a lot better. My favorite group of people they kind of introduce in early on in this season is the Sabinis. They're basically a small group of kids. They're making this horror movie, paying homage to, obviously, Tom Savini, which he also makes a cameo in this season, which I absolutely loved. I love how he had a little part in this, having to do with the keys and talking to Bodhi. It's always great seeing Tom Savini, you know, in TV shows and movies. It has to do with Kinsey. She meets up with them and becomes friends with this group of people. There's like this one British kid that really likes Kinsey a lot, but they hit it off. And they definitely get into some mischief, you know, later on in the season, having to do with this cave. But I like their setup in the show, and I thought they were the better supporting cast in this season for sure. One of the best aspects about the first season of Locke Key and the 10 episodes, they kind of go about it in a more of a magical, whimsical sense. More, on the lines of like Harry Potter compared to the books, where there are a lot more horror elements to it, and it's really dark and scary and gory. They made this more of a family-friendly version of Locke and Key, their own take on it, which I liked and didn't like because key elements in the book were left out, or they changed things. More of like a PG-13 rating, I would say, compared to like an R rating, how the books are. But I do like the spin they put on that, making it more magical. It reminded me of Harry Potter. Certain scenes of Bodhi going through doors and his spirit being removed from his body, and he's like floating around, and like the CGI looks straight from like the early 2000s. It wasn't very good, but it reminded me of like Harry Potter. So it was definitely a lot of magic and mystery behind this house, and doing with Bodhi's character and all the keys he finds. But one of the best parts of the show is definitely the production design, the set design, the way they crafted this beautiful key house in the middle of Massachusetts. It really gives it this eerie and scary vibe about it that is really close to the book. And then when you go inside, and like the original hardwood, it's been there probably for 100, 200 years. I love what the set and production design team did with the whole interior of the house. It really captured a spooky old house that could have these keys and magic powers, the doors that go to different places, and other aspects of the Locke family finding these keys and trying to keep the keys out of the hands of Dodge. She's always on their track, trying to manipulate them or hurt them and get the keys out of their hands. But when they start to uncover and find all these different keys and the certain powers they have and what they do when you open the doors. So throughout the show, it really has to do with this villainous character being Dodge. She's like seducing Tyler and doing whatever she can to get these keys. But at times it felt more comedic than it did scary. I don't think she came off as really intimidating. She was more of like, I'm a sexy villain, but I'm going to take these keys. And I didn't really buy that. And I think these kids are like, it's not going to be a problem. We can take care of Dodge. She's not that big of a deal. She's not a great villain, so we'll put a stop to her. She's not going to get the keys. This is what's been in our family forever. And this is, our future having to do with the house and the keys. But leading up until the end, I thought the ending, it was a really great twist. Some things I didn't see coming. Like I said before, there are some major changes in the TV adaptation compared to the books that kind of pissed me off. But overall, I did like how they ended the first season. Obviously, it sounds like they're going to be setting it up for more seasons, so it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger. A lot of twists and turns along the way, doing a Dodge, and also finding out the history of Rendell Locke, what happened to him as a young teenager with his friends, having to do with this cave and the keys. In terms of the imagery and the set design, everything looked beautiful from the books, but I think everything else, they kind of had their newer twist on it and played it pretty safe and made it more friendly for a younger audience. And throughout the show, I really enjoyed the cast, like the supporting cast. I really like the introduction of the Savinis, what they have to do with Kinsey's character and really helping her out, and also trying to make this horror movie. And like I was saying, a lot of great cameos this season. We had Tom Savini, even Joe Hill shows up towards the end. Like I said, I love that guy. It was cool he has a little cameo, much like Stephen King has cameos in his movies. And I really like the main cast, Bode being the best in stand-up performance. This is really his story. This is his season, and you can see everything that he comes across and he goes through, and he still kind of comes out on top and really conquering and finding these keys and where it's going to lead the Locke family in the next season. Like I was saying too, Nina, Tyler, and Kinsey, didn't like them at first, didn't really like how the characters are written. They're definitely more like teenage dramatic roles, but they really grew on me in the second half of the season. So if that's off-putting for you, just hang in there. It'll get better towards the second half, and the characters will get a lot better. I love the way that they added all the whimsical, magical effects to this, and all the powers that these keys have and what it does to people and what it does for the Locke family. I thought they really captured all those elements really beautifully. Also, another thing in the first season of Locke and Key, I love the themes and a lot of the narratives that are going on all at the same time and just kind of get lost along the way. They never really know which tone or theme they actually want to stick with. They kind of go at so many different ones that you get lost along the way. But with that being said, I had a pretty good time with the first season of Locke and Key on Netflix. It's 10 episodes long. I was really highly anticipating the show. I will say my overall feel of the first season, I think it was good. I don't think it was great, and it definitely wasn't as good as I thought it would be. So I'm a bit disappointed. So overall, I'm going to give the first season of Locke and Key on Netflix a 3.5 out of 5 Bode hair pieces. So I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of the first season of Locke and Key? Have you guys read the books? Have you listened to the audiobook? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from the Key House up here in Lovecraft, Massachusetts. Hopefully it's not by Boston Harbor. Until the next video review. Cheers!